All right, so I've heard from several people that today's symbol was a bit tricky, so I'm going to take a look at it. Let's see, what word should we start with today? Let's do... What about yesterday's Wordle answer? Black. That seems as good as anything. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to assume these are grays. And then, so the last letter is in black, but we don't know if it's the K or if it's one of the other ones. There's a decent chance it could be a K at the end of the word, but it could also be L is likely, B not too bad, A and C seem less likely at the end, but entirely possible. So, let's see, what should we do? I think I'm gonna try something with 4 other letters and also a K. So if it's not gonna end in CK, what would it be? Well, it doesn't necessarily have to end in K. Because if the last letter is a K, if this was green and the last letter was K, then if we have a K anywhere in the word, that last letter should still have a symbol. And if we use 4 different letters with a K, and the last letter comes up with a symbol, then we'll know it's the K. So, but then I need something with a K and not B, L, A, or C. How about poker? Poker would be good. Okay, so the last letter is not a K. And so the last letter is a B, L, A, or C, and we know that this, like, kind of flame symbol is the yellow. So the first letter is in poker. It is not a K, because it's not in the first word. It's not a P, so it's an O, E, or R. The first letter is an O, E, or R. I'm thinking R makes the most sense. The last letter, I mean, it feels like L or B are the most likely to be the last letters. What about something like... I was gonna say rival, but if we use R and L, if we're assuming it's R and L, then we can't use an A, O, or E. I mean, rival's not a terrible guess. I mean, it's not the right answer, but it would help us get some more information. You know, if the last letter shows up again, then we'll know it's an A or an L, and actually we'll know whether it's an A or an L, because if it's the L, it'll have to be a different symbol. If it's an A, it would have to be the flame again. And we can see if the R is the first letter. All right, I'm gonna go with that. Okay, so it's the flame, which means, and then we decided that's yellow, which means the last letter is not an L. The last letter is an A. So, and the first letter is not an R, so it's an O or an E. So, something like, no, not equal, because it has to end in an A. What would end in an A? Something like drama, but it can't have another... It can't have another A, because if one of the other letters, let's say you had an A in the second position, that one would have showed up with the flame instead of the last letter as yellow. So, there can't be another A. There's not an I, there's not, there could be an O or an E. In fact, there is an O or an E, for sure. There could be both. No, it can't be both. There's an O or an E. And there's one A. And the O or the E is at the... So the weird thing is it's at the beginning. So if we did something like this, we would need potentially 3 cons... Oh, what about extra? No, because there's no R. Can't be extra. But something like that would be good. If it wasn't for the R, that would be really good. Opera, but again, there's no R. And there's only an O or an E. There's no P. Okay. That's not right at all. Omega? Oh, but again, there's only an O or an E and not both. The second, third, and fourth letters have to be letters that we haven't used yet. Letters that we haven't guessed yet. So it's gotta be, I think it's gotta be a U. You know, extra would have 3 consonants in the middle, but otherwise, I think it's gonna be hard to get 3 consonants between an OA or an EA. We did like a TH or an SH or something, maybe. That would help. OSH. Interesting. No, we can't do an R. Now we could double up on the O or the E, actually, because since it's the first letter that gave us the yellow for the O or the E, there could be another O. You know, if you had E something E, this first one would have been yellow, and the second one would not have been because we only guessed one E. So that's a possible answer is there's like 2 of the O or the E. But it can't be, the E can't be in the 4th position, and the O can't be in the 2nd position. But there could be a second one otherwise. So, OXOA, something like that. You know, something like Omega would be great if it wasn't for the fact that we know there's not an O and an E. Something like that would be interesting. Enema? That's actually... that would work. Alright, I'm gonna try that. Oh, that's what it was. Wow, okay. Yeah, so I guess... interesting. So the trick there is to think about how... the coloring being backwards is the thing that I think really is the hard part about this. I feel like the symbols is the less difficult of the 2 things that happen in Symble. You know, trying to figure out what the things mean, you kind of can you know, like I generally say, if there's 4 of these in the first guess, they're probably the grays. Okay, we got the gray already, you know, like, and then you can kind of guess, well, if this is green, it's K, let's do a K. Okay, now we knew the symbols, what they meant right away. And that seems to be my experience with these, is you can usually figure out the symbols. The hard part is thinking about the coloring being backwards, because the way this works is if your guess was enema and the answer was poker, it would color this first E yellow, hence the flame. The second E would be gray because there's only one E in the answer. Because remember, in this situation, poker is the answer, enema is the guess. And so the second E is gray because you only have one E in the answer. Now, on the other hand, when we had it the other way around, when the last letter was the one being marked yellow, there couldn't be a second one because again, if it started with an A, that first, if it was aroma or something, okay, so your guess is aroma, and the answer is black, the first letter would have had the yellow, not the last letter. So I think the hard part is just thinking about the way the guess and the answer are flip-flopped, and it's a really neat thing, I think, because it makes your brain work differently and makes you come up with new strategies. I mean, the strategies for Symble are completely different than the rest of the word games, I feel like, because sometimes I'm guessing things, I'm like, well, I know this isn't this, but I just want to find out this one specific thing, you know, the A and the L. I want to figure out the A and the L. That's all I really was, you know, and the R here was helpful too, but the main thing with Rival was just figuring out the A and the L. And so anyways, there you go. That was today's Symble. Let me know how you did with it, and be sure to subscribe for more puzzles. So it's R, T, or O for the second and fourth letters. So let's do something with 2 of those letters. So now we just need to use 2 words using letters we haven't already used. So we can...
What team is Ariza on?
Ariza's on the Lakers as well. What about...